Good evening, everyone. Um, I would like to say welcome to the Port Towns Quarterly Meeting. I'm so excited to see everyone here, the people who are here present, and hello to everyone who's online. Do we necessarily? So, Mayor James, she's on her way, and safely, and also Council Member. But we just recognizing people's times. We have some presentations as well. So we want to get the meeting started. So first up, we're going to have presentations and updates regarding the Port Town sector plan. Okay, there you go. You're live now.
Okay, it works on. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Josephine Selvakumar. I'm from the Prince George's County Planning Department, and I'm the project manager for Port Town Sector Plan. Today I have Sarah Benton, Long Range Planning Supervisor, and the Port Town Sector Plan Project Facilitator with me. We are here today to give you all a quick update on what's happening with the plan. It's not something new. We are always out in the community. You have seen these presentations. We just wanted to make sure that you know the planning process and where we are with the process.
All right,
there you go.
We're in business now. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. So, like I said, this is not the first time you're seeing these slides. You've been to our kickoff and other events, and you've seen these slides. Give me 5 minutes. I'll just quickly go over and tell you where we are with the planning process. Next slide, please. So this is our team, as you have all seen before in other events. I just introduced Sarah Benton, our project facilitator. I'm Josephine Selvakumar, project manager, and Arnaldo Ruiz is the deputy project manager. Emily Letts is the co-team member. Linda Ramirez-Bliss is a co-team member, and we have our graduate assistant, Mimi Sanford, who also assists us in the project. Next slide, please. So this is the project boundary. You all have seen this. So it includes the 4 municipalities, Bladensburg, Cottage City, Colma Manor, and Edmundston. And this is in Subregion 2 and District 5. Next slide, please. And here is a slide to explain the project objectives and goals. The first thing is to identify and analyze the existing conditions. You have all seen our story map, which I will talk about it in the next few slides. And we did background research, and we did release our existing story map, which is the analysis of the existing conditions of the Port Towns area. And then the objective is to develop a new and realistic vision and goals for the area in collaboration with the community. The plan is the voice of the community, and we want to be out in the community events, and we are also hosting all these open house and workshops to get input from the community, and also provide policies and strategies for implementation and advance Plan 2035. So as we have explained before, the plan looks into all these planning elements that's listed here: land use, economic prosperity, transportation and mobility, natural environment, housing and neighborhood, community heritage, culture and design, healthy communities, public facilities. These are the basic 8 planning elements that the plan will look into. In addition to these, we are also looking into placemaking as one of key elements with this plan update. Next slide, please. So this is our anticipated project schedule. As I mentioned before, we did our initial analysis research and background existing condition analysis since fall 2022, and the story map was released. And we had our big kickoff in December. And right now we are in the community engagement phase. Fall 2023 to summer 2024 is the community engagement phase. And then we are looking to have the permission to print the draft plan in February of 2025. Looking to have the public hearing May 2025, and planning board action in July 2025, and the council action in November 2025. If there is a second public hearing, that would move to February 2026. Next slide, please. So you should have seen this in our kickoff. There is a QR code that shows the story map. If you scan that, it takes to the story map. This is in the project website too. That has the existing condition analysis based on the elements which I just described. There is also a survey feedback form in the story map where you can look into the existing conditions and provide feedback. There is a survey form attached to the website to the story map. Next slide, please. So RHI, Roadside Harwell Inc. is the consultant awarded to assist us with this project. They are helping us with the market analysis, economic analysis, and visioning and urban design, transportation mobility, and then they will produce a report on these findings. As you could see in the timeline here, we had the kickoff December 2023 in Colmar Manor, thanks to Mayor Cassanias for hosting the event. And then we are doing the stakeholder interviews now. We did our open house last week, which was well attended. We had close to 60 attendees, thanks to Mayor James and other council members who attended the meeting. And it was in Edmundston Rec Center. And we are looking to have focus group meetings that will happen in April, and then we have a workshop, community meeting 2 is workshop in May, June, and then we'll have the final community meeting in July, August. So this is the community engagement phase that you could see here in the timeline. And the consultants are helping us with this process. Next slide, please. I'll just give you a quick overview on the public participation program, which is mainly the community engagement. Like I mentioned before, this plan is the voice of the community, and we want to make sure we come to your events and also make sure we hear from the community and all the open house and workshops that we host. So here are some pictures. As you could see, we are looking into the existing studies and plans that's already done. And as I mentioned before, the existing conditions analysis story map that was released. And you could see here the pictures. We are out there to let you all know this plan is happening and we want to hear from you. Next slide, please. And here are some pictures from the kickoff. It was a hybrid meeting. As I mentioned before, it was in town of Colmar Manor. You can see our mayor and Chair Shapiro and council chair holding our selfie portrait picture there. And then we had like interactive polling, Slido polling through which you could we had questions on the strength, weakness, and analysis that we did for the background research and analysis, and we asked to the community what we are missing. So you all provided feedback on that. And it is still in our website. You can still provide feedback. And we also had stations asking questions on what's missing and what would make Port Towns better. Next slide, please. And we have a steering committee that was formed, which was introduced, which was informed during the kickoff. And the main purpose of having the steering committee is that they are the bridge that connects us, the project team, the MNCPPC staff, and the consultants with the broader community. And that includes people from volunteers, residents, stakeholders, community members, who better know the community than us. So we want them to be a liaison to help us know more about the community and spread the word to the community. And that's the main mission and purpose of the steering committee. And they play a key role in this plan. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. Here are some pictures from the open house that was conducted last week in Edmonston Rec Center. And we had about 60 attendees. And we had activity stations. For those of you who attended, you know that we had it like 4 towns today, vision for future and looking ahead. And there were maps and sticky notes where you could provide feedback. And we got a lot of feedback. We are still recording all the feedback that we got. Thanks for all the input that we are hearing from the community, and that's really exciting. So here are some pictures from the open house. Next slide, please. So the next event is the focus group. That could be either virtual or in person. We are still looking at dates, location, or if it's virtual, we will let you know, give you more information as we get closer to the date. And there will be a few focus group meetings where we will combine the elements and have targeted questions, which could help us draft recommendations. So it would be on transportation, environment, and housing, and different plan elements that we have. So that's the next event that we are planning, and we'll keep you posted once we finalize the date and have more information. And here is my contact information and the deputy project manager's contact information. And you can also email to project email ID, which is portowns@ppd.mncppc.org. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Little project here. So are there any questions before Ms. Selvakumar ends her presentation? I'm looking online. So Mr. Gray, help me out if you see any questions from.
Yeah, I'm looking at there too.
Okay, thank you. No questions? Anyone in the room have questions? All right. Thank you so much. We look forward to the next opportunity to keep the process moving forward. All right. So the next item on tonight's agenda is the Sustainable Communities update. Is that a combination? Okay.
Hi, Mayor James.
Hi, Rod. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. So the Sustainable Communities application has gone really well. Great work from Greg and from Michelle and from Carol before she left Cottage City. We were able to essentially incorporate all of our goals and objectives that the communities have worked on with the Lieutenant Governor's task force. That I call it a task force, but it was actually, Mayor James, the meeting you set up with Lieutenant Governor Miller, and we presented our recommendations there, along with the recommendations that each of the communities had worked on through their economic development plans, through park and planning, and through their just overall strategic plans. The application contained our accomplishments, some of the accomplishments from the last plan. If you recall, this plan is good for 5 years. So our current plan expires in May. We'll submit this to Department of Housing and Community Development, and they will review it and then give us the heads up. We've sent one draft to them, and they reviewed the draft, gave us the feedback that we needed to make in terms of changes. So I believe now 3 out of the 4 communities have signed off on it. Bladensburg, Edmonston, and Comer Manor. It is over with Chair Wheatley to sign off next, and then I will submit it to Carter Reitman, the person that's program manager for Department of Housing and Community Development, and then we'll just simply wait for any feedback or anything that needs to be done differently, or final approval, which will give us another 5 years. So thanks to everybody that worked on this and made it possible.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes, for that update, and I want to thank you and Greg and Carol in her absence. I know she moved on to another position, and Michelle for all the work that goes into that application. It is time-consuming and lengthy to have to go back, report our metrics in terms of what we have accomplished, and then also reframing that into the objectives that we need to continue to stay on task. So again, thank you guys so much. I know it's a ton of work pulling all that information and then trying to coordinate all of your schedules to keep this train moving forward. So much appreciated there. So the next item on the agenda is the Port Town CDC update and legal update. All right, Mr. Barnes.
Thanks, Michelle. So the Port Town CDC is moving forward, as you all know. Sometime back at our last quarterly meeting, I believe, you recommended that the staff look to our town attorney, Judge Deloach, to start formulating documents and plans to create a new CDC. And so that is exactly what Judge Deloach is doing. He was waiting for the dissolvement of the current CDC, and I believe that action took place at a February meeting of the board. The next steps with our development of a program would be for each of the mayors to appoint a person from each community to work with Judge Deloach and the administrators to put together the structure of the CDC. And then once that's judge gets that approved, then we can expand it and then pull on to the organization leaders from each of the communities and let them take it over and operate it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So, Mr. Barnes, there is a question. Commissioner, go ahead.
I guess I have to speak in, okay. Can you hear me? Rod?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Commissioner Young.
Hi. I was talking to Diana after their meeting in February, and if I'm recalling right, they didn't have everyone in attendance, so they couldn't take any action. My question to her at that point was, what is the need for a new CDC? If there is an existing one, can't there just be a new election? Now, there may be some legal issues about continuing the existing one, if there are any potential liabilities there, I don't know. I know they have, seems like they said $30,000, close to $40,000, and presumably that would go either to a new CDC or continuation of the existing one. And she said that the reason they were talking about getting a lawyer and talking about disbanding was because this group had decided that they wanted to establish a new CDC. So she asked me to ask, what's the reason for desiring a new CDC? And if that reason is some concern about any legal questions about the existing one, then that's one thing. If there's no other concern, I don't think anyone who's currently involved with the existing CDC would have any problem in just having a new election and continuing with the existing one. So I don't know the answers to those questions. I'm posing them to you.
Yeah, and can I start? And then, because I know you in particular, Mayor Cassagnas, have experience in terms of being on it. But Commissioner, I appreciate the questions, and we've talked about this. So it's 2024. We have started this conversation pre-pandemic. Emails were sent trying to establish relationships with the former director or whatever that title
Right.
was, and trying to communicate with us because we wanted to understand their priorities, share our respective priorities so we could align, work on funding, work on specific projects. We jumped through hoops trying to get communications. I went to see Nancy, Mayor Gant tried talking with her. So for years, this has been going on. And prior to that, what's concerning is with some folks, not all, but some of the current folks kind of in the mix, the port towns was kind of stripped out, or at least some of us were stripped out of that. And per the bylaws, they're supposed to be a member of every port towns as part of the board. And
Right.
so we lost that voice, and it was moving forward without us having that engagement. So from that to the concerns about the finances and about them being a fiduciary agent of another organization, which is not working on behalf of your community or any of the other port towns, that was another flag. And so this body decided, or this group of bodies and staff members decided, we better start fresh, because with that money comes responsibility. And we don't know what is entangled there. We don't know what sort of concerns or issues that those funds raise. And if audited or any sort of, backlash comes to us as obtaining that money, we don't want to be held accountable for money that we can't answer for. And so it
That-
wasn't taken lightly. We spent several meetings having this conversation.
Right,
So
right.
that's how we arrived there, because for all the reasons I stated, we just couldn't get anywhere else. I mean, through other methods. And then not only that, we're missing out on funding opportunities. If we calculate how many years we've been out of touch with the CDC, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that we collectively have missed out on.
Oh, I know, I
From state,
know.
from federal, even county, that could have helped our communities for the last decade. So that's
Right.
my perspective, but Mayor Casañas has a unique perspective, so I just want to turn it over to you.
Let me just say one thing. When I was talking to Diana about this, my understanding is that the two people who you were concerned about are no longer involved, as I understand it. And it took her some effort to get enough people, and I think that was why they couldn't even have a legal meeting the last time around. It took her some effort to do that probably because of those two people. It was, they were losing people and so forth. But if there are legal questions.
Commissioner
there's-
Young, Commissioner Young, this is Rod. I got an email from Diana on February 24th, and she indicated in the email, this is reading verbally, verbatim from her. Last week, the Port Town CDC board met and decided to begin the process to legally dissolve the organization. We are searching for an attorney to assist with this process, and we will be in touch as we move forward.
Right, and I was responding to that when I talked with Diana to ask them, why not just continue with that one? But you've explained that and that's what I was wondering about, the legal issues that might be there. That's a good reason to start a new one. But they do still have, I think it was 36,000 or something. I don't know what happened to the rest of it, but there ought to be an effort to try to get that 36,000. And so whoever's going to be heading that up needs to be in touch with Diana, I guess, because she just sort of stepped in because nobody else was.
Yeah, and again, just looking at the chain of custody with those funds, I would be very nervous about accepting funds that we don't know what stipulations come with them. For example, were they federal funds? Are they out
Yeah.
of compliance with reporting? That's what I'm saying.
That I
Commissioner.
don't
There's
know,
like
yeah.
all these other potentialities that we don't know. So it may seem like a good idea to say, oh, let's get those funds, but I just don't want to put anyone here, as part of the port
No, that
towns.
everything you're saying makes sense.
But Commissioner Wheatley, I just want to give you a chance to respond as well, because I know you have very similar concerns.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I apologize for being late. Is it not on? Okay. Okay, now it's on. I'm sorry. I apologize for being late. I thought the meeting was at 6:30. So I apologize, but I walked in late, so I'm not really sure what the question is.
Right. It was your favorite topic, the Port Town CDC, and Commissioner Young was just saying that it sounds like they didn't have consensus or a quorum when they met in February to call a vote to formally dissolve. And also there were concerns in terms of why we felt the need to move in a different direction and establish a new CDC. And then the other concern she raised was with respect to the money and feeling strongly that we need to figure out a path to receive the funds from there. So I'm sorry, I tossed
That's
it to you.
okay.
So let me give you a chance to collect your thoughts, and I'm going to go to Mayor Casanias, and then I'll come back and then.
I mean,
come
I'm
over.
good now,
Okay,
now that I
okay.
understand what was being discussed.
Sorry.
So, I hear my co-commissioner over here and her concerns, understand some of what you were saying when I walked in. I think for me, my biggest concern was it appeared, and not that I disagree with the decisions that were made, but it appeared that Cottage City just wasn't part of the conversation. So I think that was my major concern. Not that I disagreed with the decision that was made. I just would like for us to be a part of the conversation. The conversation that we received from Rod saying that the CDC, the Port Town CDC, was dissolved and they were going to start a brand new one before Diana sent out the email. That conversation, Cottage City wasn't a part of it.
So even aside from that, I think that there's been a little bit of some confusion, right? So there's been confusion with these Port Town quarterly meetings and the mayors and the Port Towns itself. And the Port Town CDC. Those are two different groupings, right? The Port Town CDC has its own board, which I don't believe, I'm on the board, but I don't think anyone else is here, right? So the conflict was that the Port Town CDC thought that they were getting a directive from the mayors, from the Port Town's quarterly meetings, telling them that they needed to dissolve, and that wasn't the case at all. At our last Port Town's quarterly meeting, I brought up, I think, let's dissolve, and I feel like that wasn't a conversation that was new. It's something that you've just mentioned, these conversations have been going on for a while. And whether or not, we started our own CDC, it wouldn't affect anything, really, if the Port Town CDC wanted to stay on or dissolve or do whatever they wanted to do. It would just be two different CDCs. We met on the 19th of March, and in the February meeting, we did have quorum, but all along this time, the remaining board members of the Port Town CDC, have been trying to gather, and thanks to Diana and to Denise Hamler, they've been able to kind of convene everyone. And so a vote was taken to dissolve, and we then started speaking to lawyers to find out what that process looked like. With this new information that was brought up, which was the legal recommendation is you can either have a facelift, right, for this Port Town CDC and fix it and move forward, or you can dissolve. Whichever direction you go, it's going to cost you money and it's going to cost you time. So many of us decided to move forward with dissolving. So that decision has been made. And this was at the March 19th meeting. For me,
Can you, I'm sorry, just before you go to your next point, but I appreciate that because I think you're right, there was confusion. We didn't dictate they needed to do it. We just said we need to establish something that works for the Port Towns. And I think that's where kind of the rift kind of happened in communication. So I appreciate you just breaking it down.
yeah, I don't want anyone to think, because I know that it's been said, well, the mayor are dictating what happens, and that's not the case. And whoever wants to be involved in the conversation, they're welcome to be involved. And no one's being exclusive. At least I don't feel like we're being exclusive about anything. And we're being very open with these conversations. And this was going on even before I was around. And I was a board member back before COVID. And I'll tell you, my experience as a board member, we weren't really doing anything. And so I did not have any faith in the Port Town CDC. Also, even to gather all the remaining board members has taken a lot of time. And a lot of the people that are on there don't have the time. So to say to move forward and possibly elect a new board, that's going to take a lot of time, which nobody has. So I didn't have faith that we could do that either. So for me, the easiest thing was dissolve. Now in regards to the money, they cannot transfer the money to a new Port Town CDC, nor do I think that they would do it. They have to decide, or I as a board member, have to decide who we can give the money to. It has to be a nonprofit. It has to be someone that's not related to the Port Town CDC, not affiliated with the Port Town CDC. And I think at the last Port Town CDC quarterly meeting, not CDC, sorry, Port Town's quarterly meeting, we decided it's okay if we don't have that seed money. We'll have a fundraiser, we'll do something else, and we'll raise the funds for that. Now, I do hope that Cottage City does become involved. So if you feel like you haven't
We
had a
would love
voice,
to be involved. We just have to be invited. We would love to be involved.
And that's, yeah, so I think that's where we agree, and Mayor, again, I'll come to you next as well, but that's where starting fresh has to happen, because, again, per the bylaws, it's the port towns who are involved in this, and the economic development is supposed to be for our benefits. So if we're not having representation on those boards, how can we be involved? Right. And so in hearing Mr. Barnes kind of lay out the steps and saying each of us need to designate who from our councils are going to work together to start building, you know, the requirements, the proposals, and so forth. So at least we can put that plan together that could potentially feed bylaws. But hopefully we can learn from this experience to make sure that however we structure this, it comes with that assurance that we don't lose our voice the way that we did. Because, again, we missed out on so many opportunities. So, Mayor Gant, anything from you?
No,
Okay.
put your mic down.
Mayor James, could I just correct one thing? Chair Wheatley indicated that Rod was moving forward. It wasn't Rod moving forward with anything. I was moving under the direction of the last group that got together in Calmer Manor at the Port Towns quarterly meeting. That's what they directed to have done, was to contact a town attorney and start that process. So I did not include anyone. I was simply doing the direction that I was told at that meeting.
No, I didn't say that you did it. I said we received an email from you stating, you know, what the decision was. I attended that same meeting. I attended it via Zoom, so I didn't hear that part of the discussion. So if it was stated, I honestly did not hear it.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify because it wasn't Rod making these
No,
decisions.
I know it wasn't you making the decision. You just sent out the information. I wasn't
Right.
saying that at all.
I think that was a little confusing too, because I remember that discussion, and then after the fact, people were like, "Did you have that discussion?" I remember that being said, and so then I went to Chief Stone and I was like, "Chief, did we record this meeting? Because I feel like maybe I'm having memory loss." And unfortunately,
No, we definitely had the conversation.
Yeah.
I definitely remember the discussion. I don't remember there being a motion, a vote, or anything officially saying this is what we're going to do. So that's
We
where the
did. We
confusion.
said we were going to move forward and talk to an
Well,
attorney.
Commissioner Young was there as well.
So my suggestion is moving forward. I don't know if there's minutes post this meeting or if there's a recording that can be made.
This is recorded, and
Okay.
then there's Firefly, so we're doing both.
But for December, though.
December, I do not have it.
So I think what needs to happen as a next step, just so we're clear, is each of us need to take back to our councils as an agenda item and actually have a formal vote to move in this direction. And then that way, we
Yeah.
have that paper trail for each
Absolutely.
of us. And so we have
Absolutely.
coverage, if that's all right with everybody else. And then it helps that Mr. Barnes has already done the initial
Right.
stuff. But as, it didn't surprise me, I wasn't at the December meeting, but just given how long we've been talking about
Right.
it, I was like, okay, finally, everyone agrees, we're on
Right.
the same page. So I'm sorry that some didn't have the clear understanding walking away from that meeting.
And it was also the first time that I was hosting it, and so
No worries.
I'm a newbie, and so
I
my
would like
apologies.
to comment and say that, and thank you, Mr. Barnes, for clarifying that, because it did sound as if you were stating that Mr. Barnes did that on his own. And I know that he was just a vehicle. He was the one that took the time to type it and to put it out there. But I want to commend you, Mayor Casanias, for just standing up and being that representative on the CDC board, because a lot of times we couldn't get in touch with anyone that would actually stand up and say, this is what's happening. And in most cases, they weren't participants. So it was difficult. And so thank you. Thank you for putting that out there, because we did work hard to try to get a resolve to this. And we want to move forward. And we never wanted to fight. We never wanted this to be difficult. And we want a CDC. You know, we need a CDC. Yes. So thank you for that. And thank you, Ann Young, for the work that you're doing with, yeah. Well, you have. You have. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
One thing I would say is, it would be good, once all the legalities are worked out, to have a meeting, an actual in-person meeting. The meetings that used to be held over in Comar Manor were good, because a lot of people would come, and the elections would be held there. Everyone would know what was going on, and just get it out in the open again. Because I agree, what was happening in between there was just not what it should have been.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying just how important it's going to be for those who are kind of voluntold to kind of lead from each of their communities, because those are things we can learn from. So, you know, a potential code of conduct could be, every quarter when we meet, we rotate between each of the town halls. One that gives us visibility that they are in fact meeting and keeps that relationship going, versus going out on their own, securing other places to meet and things like that. It's not to say they never can, but at least to prioritize having the town halls or community centers or whatever makes the most sense, but in the port towns. If this is where we're trying to bring people to when we meet and have guest speakers, we need them to come in to the port towns and meet us, see our residents who are at these meetings, and also see the local communities as they're driving in. That offers sometimes visibility on seeing projects that are a no-brainer that they could help, you know, with as a guest speaker, if it's someone from the state, for example. So I think we have talked it through sufficiently and shall move on.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing? There were so many good projects with the old one. I remember just in Cottage City, we had free yoga for people, a lot of projects like that, you know, are real popular with local residents all over. So I hope we can get back to doing things like that.
So are we taking something back to our councils?
Yeah, so
And I want
it
us to
seems-
have the same wording back to our councils.
So it sounds
Please.
like, just by the nodding of heads, and those online, stop me if you disagree, but it sounded like there was agreement from each town to go back and discuss it amongst the respective councils and actually vote to move.
The reestablishment.
Yeah, to create a new Port Town CDC. Name TBD, but the essential agreement that we need is around establishing a new organization.
If you want to test.
Mayor James?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One other point that I want to share with you, when they were discussion about finances. I don't know if you all recall or remember, but we have about $12,000 sitting with ATHA, which is our Port Towns festival money. And so that's certainly funds that could be used. You could dissolve that and put those funds into a new CDC if you so chose.
Good point, thank you. So at least we have those in the minutes too, so we can have that as an option, as some seed money to get started.
And maybe what we could just do is, how about we just bring one set of resolutions to every town, and then we would approve
Yeah.
that, and that way we'll send it to.
Does that work for everyone? So at least we're voting on the same resolution, so like Bladensburg isn't different from what Cottage City passes?
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
all
So
right,
we'll meet and we'll do one resolution with that.
okay.
So who's going to do that?
Staff.
The staff
They'll
will-
drive
it.
the
Okay.
managers will, the managers will do it, the managers will do
Okay.
it.
Oh, the yeah. Okay, the town manager,
Staff
okay.
will do it.
Okay,
Between us.
okay.
I've got a template.
I was like, the mayor's are gonna do it? The mayor's are gonna do it.
All right, so the next item is the connected devices
wanna do it
overview.
Do you want to do it from there? Greg, you want to do it right up there? That might be easier. You want to stand right there? Yep, there you go.
He's like, nope, I'm not
I don't
standing.
feel like standing up.
Greg, you want to stand?
I'm tired today. And knowing me, I'll trip over the wire and not go to the podium. And So back in the fall, the town administrators and managers met and discussed applying for the Connected Device grant through the state. In January, we were awarded the grant. This allows for the port towns to receive 150 Chromebooks to give out to residents that meet certain qualifications, 200% of the poverty level, or be part of a federal program such as SNAP or a Pell Grant or Medicaid, what have you. And so we've, in the grant, wrote that there's an allocation per town, 25 per each of the smaller towns, and Bladensburg getting 75 for theirs. That can ebb and flow depending. There is no specific requirement per the state for that allocation. So as long as we get the 150 out, then we can get them all out. So we started collecting, thank you for the flyer, by the way, this thing's awesome. This is a really nice flyer. We put a form together, and so I think we're already up to like 12 or something like that, applicants that have filed. And so we put it in our newsletter and have residents calling in and writing in. The one caveat to it is if someone, there's one per household only, if someone has received one of these devices or something else through the Connected Device program previously, they're not eligible for this. So we have to run everyone's names through a database in order to make sure. And so you may have recalled the library system had Chromebooks as well and some other devices that they were giving out, and that was part of this same program. And so if you receive something from the library, you're not eligible for this one if it was through that program. And I know some charter schools have gone through that, and some other government agencies have done it as well. But as long as you're a resident of Maryland and meet those income requirements or one of the federal programs, then you qualify.
And we have them. They're here.
Oh, really? Good.
All of them are. They have
All? Oh,
arrived.
they sent all of them?
I have all of them. They are stored. They're locked up here in Bladensburg.
That is not what we said there.
All right, any questions about the Connected Devices program? All right, so we'll jump.
May I real quick?
Uh-huh.
Do we know what the income requirement is?
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, it's right there on the bottom there for a household of
Sorry, I
one.
have my glasses on.
Oh, it's 30,120 for a household of one.
Ah.
Up to
Yeah.
60,000, up to 60,000
Yeah.
for a household of four.
Which is perfect because when you think about the demographic most in need of connectivity, that this frames it perfectly. And I think many of us know residents in our own communities who fit the criteria that would easily qualify for these. So we appreciate I'm sorry, I better not do that again. But the administrators working together on this grant to secure it for the port towns.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So do we have this flyer electronically?
Yep.
Can you share it with us?
Yeah, I will share it with everybody by PDF.
Okay.
And it's in Spanish too, right?
We're getting it
Yeah.
translated.
Okay.
We're getting it translated. I have a person who just started, so she's going to translate.
Yeah, she literally just started yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
So when will we be able to distribute?
Oh, you can, I can get the English one to you tonight, but I will send it in English and Spanish by probably Thursday.
Okay. And
But now-
so, and then when do we pick up
Oh.
ours? Or how
Oh,
are you
if
distributing
people-
them?
If people fill out this, we will contact them if they've qualified, and then they provide it, and we can set up dates for people to distribute. So we will set them up at Town Hall, we'll set them at Pike City, right? So we will start to do that process, but we just need people to sign up first, which is the QR code.
But just to
Okay.
clarify, so physically though, is there coordination between you or someone on staff with somebody at Cottage City to transport them
Well, there
over?
was between Carol, so we just need to know
okay.
the new person, but yeah.
Mr. Folks?
Okay,
Oh,
well, we
okay.
got you, then that's great.
Welcome.
Welcome. So we will work with you, and we'll work with you to get them to you, so we can, and you'll get trained on how to do it.
Is there a deadline?
No, we've got
No?
all summer to do these.
Okay,
So
good.
we've got time, yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
I think I've been told to just get rid of them and get them out, so I better.
Thank you.
Wait,
So
is
just
Mr.
a quick
Bolger
question.
town admin? Oh, nice.
Mrs. Bailey Hedgebeth, just a quick question. Will they be distributed like accordingly to each port towns? Municipality?
They're distributed by need, but the grant was written so that each, that the smaller municipalities got 25 apiece, and Bladensburg, it's 125, not 150, that there's 50 that Bladensburg
50,
has.
so that-
But we did it also that it could be to anyone in the area, so that if I didn't give away my 50, that I could do 30
Yeah.
to Cottage City, whatever, it was reciprocal, so as the need arose, just to get them out. And there's also, the state has a lot of these, so I think we can actually ask for additional ones, because there are a lot of these, but we just asked for 125, because we didn't think we could give away 125 because of the previous rounds that have happened. That was the issue.
So I guess my question is, are we the distribution hub? Are we giving each municipality their own
Yes.
25 to distribute
No,
themselves?
we're going to do them as they come in, because there's a qualification process.
Oh, okay.
Because so that when someone does it, I have to give out the exact number. So I have to assign the numbers to them. So and it's harder if I assign them to Greg. So we'll have to work together, but we'll have certain days where we can just say, there's 10 here. Yeah. So yes and no. It is. It's
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be. It's a combo. It's a combo.
And there was also the qualification from the state that the person doesn't necessarily have to be from the port towns.
Correct.
And so we can't refuse someone that if they're a resident of Maryland and applied, we still have to give them one.
That's why it's kind of fluid because
So-
of that issue.
So they can come from Greenbelt and.
I guarantee one of my residents has
Hyattsville.
Silver Spring actually today. A guy came in from Silver Spring to apply in person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so next on our agenda is America in Bloom.
Rod, do you mind talking about American Bloom? I don't know, to the next one?
Michelle's doing really good tonight. Delegating out to Greg and I and everyone else. But no, American Bloom, I don't mind a bit. It's dear to my heart. So I'm all excited because 3 out of our 4 port towns are involved in American Bloom for the year. And Cottage City, I know, wanted to desperately, but they just have so much on their plate that it just wasn't a good timing for them. But hopefully maybe next year they will be able to jump in. So the American Bloom program, if you don't know about it, it's a national nonprofit organization with that focuses on trying to build pride in communities all across the nation. We have over 400 communities that have been involved. This year we have 40 communities, and so exciting to have 6 of them out of our Prince George's County, Maryland chapter. District Heights, Brentwood, Hyattsville, Colmer Manor, Bladensburg, and Edmonston. So what that means is on Friday, we're going to be meeting to talk about all that's going to go on, but they're going to get 2 advisors that come to their community this summer, and they're going to give them a whole list of recommendations that they would have had to have paid a planning person $40,000, $50,000 to get. This recommendation will give you help with planting flowers, with planting trees, with environmental, with overall impression, with community vitality programs and things that you do. And so it's all volunteer. The advisors are volunteer. They are experts in various areas. I happen to be an advisor, so I get to go out to 4 communities this year and advise, as well as at hosting in Edmonston. So the communities will be working together to set up what we're doing and how we're making sure that it's a successful event for all involved. But I think everyone's going to do speak, and Mayor Gant can chime in because we've been in the program for 7 years, and I think Prince George's County is going to have a significant impact on changing and bringing America in Bloom forward into the 21st century. I happen also to be the national president for the organization. I was recently put into that position in February. So it's just exciting that we have that representation, and it's just exciting to be in the program. And hopefully you'll do it year after year. Edmonston's been in it 7 years. We have over 200 recommendations, and many of the things that you see throughout our town, and particularly our programs and et cetera, came from our advisors spending time with us.
I can't.
Way to
oh, I'm
bury
sorry.
the headline, sir. I just happen to be the national president.
And he has.
Not only am I a customer, but I'm a member too. Thank you for that. But no, appreciate you sharing the opportunity with us, because as you mentioned, I know Edmonston's been doing this for a while. 7 years, that's fantastic. Mayor Gant, you had
I
comments?
was just going to say how proud I am of him being the president. He has slid into that position and has changed so many things, and they are so accepting of his changes. I mean, he has just, it's just a wonderful change. So proud of him, and he is so comfortable in it. If you walk past a tree, Mr. Barnes can tell you what type of tree it is, how long it has been there, a plant, a flower, anything. I mean, it is just so much. No, oh. Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna show you around. There's one around the corner.
his calling. It's his calling. And I am so glad that so many municipalities did sign up. You're going to see a wonderful difference in your municipalities. I'm proud of you. And I definitely understand about Cottage City because it is a commitment. And when you have so much on your plate, it's difficult because it is a financial investment as well. When they give you your recommendations, it does take some finances to do it. So when you are able to do it, you want to do what they recommend. So when you're able to jump on Chair Wheatley, please do so. But you're going to be happy.
So, bing, light bulb just went off. So one of the things we talked about as it relates to economic development, and this will come up later at some point, maybe in a future meeting, but a recommendation was made that as a Port Towns, as we're trying to brand ourselves and attract investment, we should really have a Port Towns website, and from that, it branches off to Cottage City, Colmar Manor, and Bladensburg, and Edmonston. The light bulb was, we need to start doing more videos where it's council members, commissioners out saying, guess what, we're kicking off America in Bloom. All these initiatives that we're doing, we need to be memorializing them, so that for future purposes, we can have some quality footage that actually can be on these websites and demonstrating the good work that we're doing. Sometimes if you just drive down Bladensburg Road or Kenilworth, you don't see all the things that are happening. So I'm just throwing that out there. If, you guys could talk to your respective councils and commissions to see if, maybe someone kind of helps with that effort. Yes, I see another light bulb.
Well, I have to say, I'm very impressed with Bladensburg and their communication people.
I am as well.
I think that they just do an amazing job.
They
so
do.
I'm just wondering.
They do.
I bet you that somebody from Bladensburg made this flyer, right?
They are good.
And it's a really beautiful flyer, so I'm just wondering.
I mean, I'd be happy to.
Video of the mayor from the mayor's luncheon.
Yeah.
That Bladensburg did.
Oh, gosh.
So how about we just say this, is that from the standpoint that we will start working together as the managers groups, we'll start to work on some of these things jointly, because I think we've been working on a lot of stuff, and the mayor, thanks for mentioning the Port Times website, because that did come from the economic development from the county, that branding the Port Towns is something that we should do. So what we can do is we can maybe, between myself, Rod, and now with our new manager, I'm so excited to have you for Cottage City, that we can talk about these kinds of things, because we do meet and we do this stuff, so we can bring back something for the next meeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think even if it's just a spreadsheet for the ideas of, like, we need a video for this idea, we need, something curated for this.
Yeah.
It'll help. So when we get back together, we have several things that at least we can look at, consider, and prioritize. All right, thank you.
All right, I've got the.
Yes.
I'm sorry, one quick update too on this American in Bloom. We just joined in February. They also offer a lot of individual educational webinars and specialized things, part of the programming, and there's a ton. It's like every week they're coming out, they have new stuff that they're putting out there, and they're quick, easy things to watch at lunchtime. But they also, their supplier members, their vendor members actually reached out. And so within 2 weeks of joining, maybe 3 weeks of joining, they said, hey, we have these nurseries that are offering up some perennials. One had a rose bushes.
Did you get the rose bushes? Mine came in.
Yes, so we have 100.
Came in today.
I mean, not even a minute after the email came through, I said, free plants, yes. So we have 100 rose bushes that just came in the town hall. They just arrived. And we have 150 other perennials that are they're going to be 2 feet by a good 2 feet. So we're hoping to do the entrance into town at 40th between Burger King and Compare, because it's a very vacant space, and just really pop some color right in there as a welcoming into the town. So
I got the rose bushes. So
So
great.
I think we need to coordinate when we like do our splash with all the plantings, like when you guys have yours ready, we have ours, when Edmiston has whatever their first project is, because we need the photo op, we need the video, and really push out. This is just one of the neat things that is happening in your community that you need to feel excited about. And who knows, you may pull some volunteers from the residents who see this and understand how important it is to have those improvements, so, yeah. All right.
We had 100 rose bushes delivered also.
It's going to be a rose bush planting competition. Planters on your mark. All right, so.
And that was all spontaneous. We did not coordinate that.
That's
That's the
funny.
funny part. We did not, we all bought the rose bushes. They were on
Oh,
sale.
wow.
Yes.
Great minds, I tell you. So the next idea I'm super excited about and looking forward to, which is a joint Port Towns event. And it sounds like we're still on board with doing some sort of 5K walk run. Yay. Commissioner Wheatley's going to try to take first place.
So that's actually me. I didn't pawn this one off. I just
Okay.
tried not to speak all the whole time. So Ray in our office has been working with park and planning, and we're working with a coordinator. But we just wanted to find out from the Port Towns if who wanted to, if everybody was still in, and then should we work on with each town for this event, and then coming up with, we were thinking October. In that timeline, or in the fall. So we just want to make sure that we start this group, and so that by the next meeting, we can meet and bring the Port Towns group a update.
Awesome. I've already been instilling ideas from one of my coworkers who has a side business where she does marathons and stuff. So unless somebody else from our team wants to volunteer, I would love to.
Well, go right ahead, man.
Okay. All right.
I don't know how much money you want to put on your
I know.
plate, but go right ahead.
I know. But if you guys from the other communities need to talk to the rest of your teams who may not be here tonight and maybe give us an answer, I would say in like 2 weeks. That's still
Yes.
enough time to plan it, mainly because we have to work with park and planning, because you have to map out your routes.
Right.
We need to understand, do we need police coverage if we're
do.
coming off trail? Are we staying on trail? There's all those kinds of things which don't seem like a big deal, but they do take months and months to just lay out and finalize. And we want to make this a really good look for the Port Towns community. So the more time we have to plan, the better. And then more of a question, but could some of the funds that were for Port Towns Day be directed to our walk run, the $12,000?
We can look at that. I know that,
Okay.
Rod, I think what we need to be able to bring back to you is then what would be a feasible, Rod, for the Port Towns CDC, like what we would need to contribute or something like that. So we can put that as part of so we can tell you your total amount, like, so the $12,000 we have for Port Towns Day, if it did go for this, then, but we can let you know what more of the costs are. So I think that's what we just need. And and Mayor, just like you mentioned, we will be engaging with the police chiefs. I see Chief Stone on, so that we can have them as part of that planning committee, or at least they're a person that will help us with the routes through the towns, because we want to make sure we hit each one of the towns with the Port Town 5K.
Agreed, and then just working in the public safety component. So
Correct.
I'm sure Chief Collington will have a designee as well.
He will
So,
be in it. I will never forget my sidekick, Chief Collington, on this.
Awesome.
He's an integral part of this team.
Yep.
Do you want me to just move on to Independence Day?
Yes, please.
Okay, Independence Day is July 5th. We have penciled in and solidified that day, which is Friday the 5th. And we just wanted to make sure that everybody knew it and that we'll be having fireworks and all sorts of things. It's a theme is with our I don't know if I'm allowed to say the theme yet, but it's a great theme because Ray is very protective. Ray is very protective of his theme and his ideas. Yes, I'm not going to say it. I've just signed a bunch of contracts. I'm not going to say the theme, but it's going to be very fun. And I think the one good thing about Independence Day is that it brings us all together. But Bladensburg will be hosting that, so I think it's a great day. And I just wanted to give everybody that date. The last item that we have is.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you going to read, were you about to go to the Bostwick House?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I want to say something else about Independence Day, because we, at our last Port Towns quarterly meeting, we mentioned the other municipalities coming back in and, collaborating with us on that day again. One of the other questions is like, is it usually on a Friday or is it usually on a weekday?
Yeah, so
I mean, on a weekend.
So normally it would be the Friday before the holiday. That's how we started it out. But then next year, the way Independence falls, it's like it would have been weird doing it on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it would have been a Tuesday this year if you did the day before the Independence Day. So the 3rd was Tuesday, the 4th is Thursday, and the 5th is Friday. It's harder to get the fireworks providers on the 4th because of all of the other
Because of all,
bigger celebrations.
But did we ever have it on a Saturday?
We haven't, and mainly because just purely from a staffing standpoint, people are already here on Friday. So versus bringing them back in on a Saturday, it's a longer day on Friday, but at least they've got the weekend to recover before coming back. So that's
And I think what I'm trying to recollect, we're trying to arrange it. And what I'm trying to think back to is that, because I thought it was usually. And maybe I'm thinking Port Towns Day was on a Saturday.
That's what it is.
And it was, it was, hey, we considered staff then there too. But because our last one was the 4th of July Independence Day celebration that we had, it was kind of an all-day event as well. So,
It's still pretty much all day.
But let me just clarify. So the Independence Day celebration last year was on Monday, July 3rd. It started at 5 p.m.
Off that day or something.
Yeah, so it wasn't similar to Port Towns. With Port Towns Day, you guys may remember, that went from 12 till 7, I want to say.
Right.
It was
It
all
felt
day.
like it was all day,
It really,
last year.
my poor husband hosting that thing. But yeah, so I remember it. But you're right, it was an all-day thing. But just getting back to the day, I know we talked about it a little bit before, and it was weird on a weekday. So they were able to go back to the vendor and have it switch to the Friday, which we were thinking for the residents, it's easier to come out on a Friday. You don't have to worry, in most cases, not all, but about having to go to work the next morning since it is a late night. So hopefully that flows right in to people's schedules.
Okay, so now to get back to involving the other municipalities, bringing them back, because I know that at the last meeting, there was the conversation put back on the table with the other municipalities participating, collaborating with the town. And Bladensburg, as we've known, I mean, our population is bigger, so, and we have a larger budget, so we've always had the lion's share of the cost, but just because of the mere size of our budget and our town. So, is there an interest for the other municipalities to come in? Did we have we had any additional conversation around that, or?
I don't know that we need conversation. If y'all are writing checks, we're gonna take them. So it's really a matter of y'all
I thought we had already agreed to do this before. We would chip in.
Okay, that's fine.
Just-
So
We can't chip in a lot.
No, not a whole lot, but I think in the past, I know we've contributed, maybe not always in money or stuff like that, but we've contributed other ways, like we contribute our staff, we contribute our vehicles. So we've, given in other ways.
Yeah. I think, I'm Councilwoman, I thought that that moving forward, like especially in 2020, in 26 with the sequentennial, that was one of the things that we were moving towards, is that one would also be a joint one as well. I think that was one of the conversations, is that because that's going to be such a big event with the 250th anniversary,
Yeah.
the 26th would be there, but we could
And
do.
we were definitely talking
yeah.
about this year as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I-
Because
the conversation
Commissioner
last year.
Givens
right.
always brings it up,
Always
how
brings it
can
up.
we help? And
Yeah.
so if you're able to, I mean, we can provide the estimate for the fireworks. It's usually about 15,000
Yeah, it's about
each
10.
time around. So even if 1,000 helps go to that, if, so I don't think
Yeah,
there's
it's budget
any limit.
season. We can put it in our budget.
Okay.
So, yes,
That's right.
we're in.
Right, and then also, as it was mentioned, you could have they have their police vehicles. I mean, you may not be able to monetary, but in some other form to provide staff to do this or that. I mean,
As I understand, we
So,
do
but-
partner with Chief Stone with Colmar Manor a lot because of the way the trails go as well from that standpoint. Greg, is that
Yeah, so
correct?
usually on the planning calls,
All
we
of
have, all the chiefs on there for that very reason, so they're communicating about in the event of an
Yeah,
emergency,
Chief
but
Ayers.
even if not, just what the routes are, and coverage, because we have to have plainclothes officers who are walking around, particularly going from the Colmar Manor side across the bridge to our side. Most residents will never notice them. We're coordinating also with, the emergency rescue squad. I know now the fire department, they've got a boat, they may bring that out just in case someone falls in the river. So on the public safety side, they're always
Communicating.
on, on those planning calls and making sure we're good, along with the fire department. Park and planning is on there with Rod Walker. Trying to think else. I think those are the main
Yeah.
people, and someone from the county fire department. So, yeah, to that degree, AIRS is always
Yeah.
in sync with us.
Yeah, we and we always get the floodlights to make sure the
Yep.
trail is safe
Yep.
for those who are crossing from our side of town over to Comar Manor to go to the waterfront park. So yes, we're definitely on board.
Now, can I ask, and it may not be a great idea, but is it worth, like maybe Cottage City and Colmar Manor, just as an example, partnering on like 2 or 3 food trucks on that side? Because oftentimes the lines are so long on our side, even if you guys could get just 2 vendors, like Seafood Boss is off of Rhode Island Avenue,
Right.
in either Brentwood or North Brentwood. There's some other ones, but just a question, just
I
to make
can
it easier for your
Definitely take it
residents.
back to the council and we
Okay.
will definitely discuss it because I like that idea.
Yeah, I
Um,
always feel like on the Cottage City side, by where that, I don't know what that building is, on Bladensburg.
Oh God, it's,
Right across from the church.
I know what building, I
Yeah,
can't think of
right.
what it is right now,
Yeah,
but I
that
know
was
exactly
like
what
a perfect
building.
location for some food trucks. But anyways, yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah, it's a lot of
So-
space.
I mean, normally I don't think we have to pay them because they make their money off the sales, so it wouldn't be a heavy lift, just like trying to lock them in and confirming that
What's the date again?
Friday, July 5th.
Okay, and that's from 9 to 8?
Usually.
I mean, 5 to 8?
I'm sorry, 6 to 9:30.
6 to 9:30? Okay.
We start setting up a little earlier, but
Yeah.
yeah. So what I can do is we can start inviting people to the planning meetings, and then that way we can all be a part of it. And then if we can kind of then come back to the councils, let you guys know, and then be ready to kind of, because we'll have another meeting of this before
Yeah.
that date. I just wanted to mention it, and thank you, Councilwoman Brown, for mentioning the collaboration. So we will work on it.
Question, ma'am. For the food trucks, pay a fee to set up?
I don't believe so. I can check with Ray to be sure.
I don't think we do charge
But we
it.
normally don't, which
We don't
is,
charge them.
it makes it easier to get the ones to come out because we're not doing that. I know other organizations do that, but
We
we're
don't
not really
necessarily charge our
fundraising,
vendors,
so, exactly. So, yeah, it's more of just for the overall experience for the residents, making them, not have to
they're out there,
stand in line
yeah.
for 2 hours. Yeah, that's not a good look, so. But yeah, thank you, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you.
And next up, Bostwick House.
So just the last part is that Bostwick House, we're working on a technical assistance panel, and that is going to occur, there's going to be a public session on the 18th, which will be here at Town Hall from 3:30 to 5:30. If you're interested in what's going on and what the technical assistance panel finds, what some of their initial findings are, it'll be a good opportunity to kind of see what's going on. And then as we're working through this technical assistance panel, which is going to help to determine the future of Bostwick House, There'll be more events coming up in the next couple of months, but we just wanted to let everybody know that the town is working on, working with the Amen Trust, and that we're working on some of the stabilization projects, and we're about to do the RFP. We're about to actually award the RFP for the plan on. There's actually it's an event center plan that the Amen Trust is helping us work on. So there's a lot going on at Boswick House, and we've been working a lot with the funds that we were given by the state. So we thought that was a good thing to kind of share with this group, since it's a community resource.
Yeah. So if you are able to attend that open house, please come in, because many of you have lived in the Port Towns for a long time, and this is a historical asset that we need your input on as well. So again, thank you for that update. And so now we have, we're at the portion of the agenda to go around and do our town updates. So since we're hosting, I'm going to say we'll go last.
Okay, I just did it alphabetical.
I know. Comar Manor, we'll start with you. So Mayor Casañas, I know Councilmember Mendoza is on the line. We've got Mr. Holcomb, Chief Stone.
Okay, so in regards to updates, one of the things that and I don't even know if we should be bringing this up here, but I'm going to bring it up anyways, is an issue that we've been dealing with in regards to speed cameras. Do you want to brief everyone real quick on the issue?
So we have a meeting tomorrow morning about this. This actually could be problematic for a lot of communities in the area. So we applied for speed cameras to mimic what Cottage City's put in place on Bladensburg Road. And in doing so, the state kind of went AWOL on us, the Highway Administration. Finally got through to the director of the Highway Administration to escalate the issue because they were not getting back to us about our application. It's been nearly 6 months. Usually this takes maybe 60 days. And in that conversation, the State Highway Administration is saying that because of our shopping center and most of the commercial development on our side of the road, that it's a business district. And so the state code says that you can have speed cameras in a residential zone in Montgomery and Prince George's County that is not a business district. The issue is, across the street is a residential zone, being Cottage City. So half of the road is allowed to have a camera to help slow down people, but then when the Cottage City resident gets to that halfway mark, they're out of luck and they have to try to run across the rest of the road and dodge speeding cars. And so we're trying to show that logic to the state. This is clearly an issue, though, that could actually affect other camera locations that are going up right now in Brentwood, North Brentwood, and the other surrounding areas, because the state's trying to dictate where we place the cameras. So now they're telling us that the one location we want is too close to a red light, and so people would be slowing down to go to the red light, so why would you put a camera there? When in reality, one of the cameras that Cottage City just put in is actually closer to a red light than the location we're proposing over by IHOP. And so it's clear that the state's just kind of pulling out things and throwing it out there. There could be some political ramifications that are happening in the background that we don't know about necessarily, that have to do with some communities putting in red light cameras a decade plus ago that didn't have permits. And so now the state's getting a little antsy about that because there's talk of lawsuits and some other things. But so one, I guess, is an FYI. This is an ongoing issue that potentially has actually impacts statewide, because we would be the first community that has been rejected for trying to put up a camera in a residential zone per what the code says, because they're saying we're in a business district, but it's across from a residential zone. And so it's a very interesting thing. But this is what we brought up with the lieutenant governor in this room, was that exact issue and the clarification of what that business district designation was.
So thank you to Mayor James and everyone that was involved in getting the lieutenant governor here, because that was definitely helpful. So that was one of the things that we've been kind of dealing with in Colmar Manor. The other thing is that we have elections coming up in May for our council, and I just want to give a big shout out and kudos to our Mayor Pro Tem Melinda Mendoza, who has been a council member for 8 years. I do not know, I do not know if she's running or if she is not. But I definitely just wanted to say thank you for all of your work and everything, the impact that you've had on the community. And if you don't decide to run, you're going to be greatly missed. But I'm hopeful. I don't know, maybe you'll be one of the Port Town CDC members. Who knows? So in regards to everything else, thank you to Cottage City and to Chief Ayers for the teen lock-in that we hosted in February for teen dating violence. So these types of projects are what kind of feeds my soul, and they've been a blast. So for me, I want to extend an invitation to Cottage City, to Edmonston, to Bladensburg. If you ever want to partner and come to our town hall and do something, I'm wide open. Let's just do it. We are going to be hosting a community prom on the 13th of April. Our community garden is hosting a workshop about bees on the 20th of April. And we have ongoing Zumba. We also have a fitness class at 5 p.m. free. Just come on over. We've been having board games on Sundays. I'm not really sure what else there is. Is there any other council members want to chime in? Okay, and then bingo at the American Legion in Colmar Manor, Monday nights. We have a lot of fun. You're all invited.
Colmar Manor events. Just in case you're in the area. All right, Cottage City. Okay, so I'm just going to name a few things. First off, for those who may not know, Carol Richardson has taken a new position at, not Colmar Man, I'm about to say Colmar Man, Upper Marlboro as their TA. So we are actively seeking a town manager, but in the meantime, our code enforcement compliance officer, Mr. Michael Folks, has stepped in as our acting town manager, and he's doing a great job. But of course, that's not his permanent job because he's just helping out during the transition. But we want to thank him, and if you haven't met him, he's a great guy. Please introduce yourself. Also, we unfortunately lost Brittany Gabriel, our office manager, who had been with us for many, many years, and she was a great loss. So we're actually down two very important positions, so that's one of the reasons why we couldn't come on board with America in Bloom. We just have so much on our plate right now. We also recently purchased some land next door to the town hall, so we're very excited about that, and that's going to be our new community center. We got so many projects going on. I can't think of all of them. We also have the firehouse, the old firehouse, which we've been talking about for years. We are working to make that our community outreach center. And to Mayor Casanas, thank you for hosting the teen lock-in. That was really great of you and very gracious of you, and we appreciate it. We enjoy doing joint events with you, so we look forward to doing that more. Commissioner Young, is there anything, or Mr. Folks, you would like to add?
I can't think of anything in particular, although I should say he's actually doing 3 jobs, including, right, code enforcement, Public Works, and town manager. And from what I hear, the other employees are real happy with that, and so we thank you for everything you've given to us.
You're welcome. Yes, also we're having meetings with parking planning, trying to do some new things down at the big park that we have down at Bunker Hill. Of course, we have a flood problem down there, so we're trying to get that work straightened out first. Trying to do something more like exercise things, some new equipment down there, something for the kids, give the kids somewhere to go. Not just along with Colmar Manor, other places they can go. So also we have the 100th anniversary of Cottage City. That's this year. So hopefully we get to plan something big. Hope everybody can come out and join us, because that we're gonna go all out this year. Depending on the budget, if they let me extend the budget, we're gonna. If we can borrow some money from Bladensburg, since Bladensburg is the hot spot now. we can come make a loan or something like that,
Don't have any extra money.
Oh, see,
I'm like, no.
now I don't have the money now. Okay, all right.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, those weekends.
Yeah, we got those, and also we're doing that as well. We're gonna add a. Sorry to hit you upside the head with this one, but we're gonna get another camera on 38th because 38th is a hot spot. The speeding and just coming through the area, I guess all the traffic coming from DC, things like that. Coming from law enforcement, and I'm a former Baltimore City police officer, SWAT member, anything you can name of it down there, I've done the job. To really get people to understand, you're going to have to really start doing some strict enforcement. Get your police out there, have them run some radar. I like the little thing they did at the, I guess the entrance coming from Colmar Manor onto, going up 450. They put the barrel, that was well needed. That was a horror show. But I think the best thing to do is to get people to understand and comply. You're gonna have to start doing some strict enforcement. Sometimes you gotta make an example out of people and let them understand that, look, coming through our neighborhoods, because there's too many kids crossing, and I've seen them do 65, 70 miles per hour down there. I was taught to do radar by visual, and they come through there rolling.
It's really dangerous. Most of the people in Ward 1, I'm the Ward 1 commissioner, live across 38th Street from the part of town that has the parks and the town hall. And so for our kids, they just don't cross the street, walk across the street. I'm scared to cross the street, so it's really great that we've lowered the speed limit, and now we're talking about getting red lights.
Yes. So, and again, if Colmar Manor needs help when it comes to fitness, I am in Bladensburg. I am a fitness instructor as well, so I'm really into that. Yeah, I have a lot of hats. I do a lot. We all. Small thing is, I own my own company. Well, my family own our own company, dump truck company. So I do a lot of things, and I'm trying to coordinate all this stuff at one time. But again, I am happy to be a part of this. This is very intriguing for me, so I'm glad to meet you all. And
Great. Thank you so much for those updates, and welcome to the team. All right, Edmonston, Mr. Barnes, Mayor Gant.
Good evening. I'll turn it over to Mr. Barnes.
Like that, I did it my group.
Thanks, Mayor. So we're in the midst of our 100th anniversary celebration. It's going on all year long. It kicked off with our Black History event, and we are doing a series of videos throughout the year. That one focused on our Black residents and business, Black-owned businesses, and it's a wonderful video to watch and see. So if you get a chance, go on our website. You could see that, along with we interviewed Reverend Fowler, Jerome Fowler. He's the great-great-grandson of Adam Plummer, and so that video is there. We're releasing a video each quarter, focusing on the 100th anniversary. We're having concerts in the park all summer, focusing on the 100th anniversary, and each one is themed differently. June 21st is Juneteenth, July 12th is Americana, and August 23rd is Hispanic Heritage. We're hosting First Friday with Community Forklift, the first Friday of August, and we're doing a car show with cars from each of the decades of our 100 years, so that's exciting. And if you didn't know this, I hope you all did. Community Forklift was the recipient of a earmark from Congressman Ivey's office, so they got a very large earmark that's going to help them greatly and hopefully keep them in the port towns, but help them to locate a location more permanent if they have to not be in the port towns. Our big thing is we're doing the fireworks show on June 1st, and that's Edmonston Day, and we hope all of you can participate in the parade. It's at on that day at 3 p.m. We have a marching band, and we have floats, and we have our junior green team along with them. They're making banners. It's going to be a really great. The governor's invited. We hope that he can be there. We'll end our 100th year celebration with a gala in the fall. That's to be set up and be determined. I also wanted to point out that, the Port Towns does a lot together, and just some of the events coming up that we all are involved with in one way or the other is the AWS Earth Day cleanup. I know sites in Calmer Manor, Cottage City, Bladensburg, and Edmonston always are involved in that. Growing Green with Pride is coming up in April, and we all sign up and do that for our communities too. And Bike to Work on May 17th. The Port Town stop is in Veterans Park, and so we do that each year, and that's something that the whole community is recognized for. And I believe, Mayor, that's all I have. We did receive a new stormwater management grant from Prince George's County and CBT for some more rain gardens. So we will exceed 60+ rain gardens in Edmonston when these new ones are planted. And if you drive through Edmonston in the next couple of weeks, you're going to have road construction as the WSSC finished the water main replacement and is now repaving the streets. So we're happy for that.
The only thing I would encourage the mayors and the council members to please, I don't always push this, but I need you there on June the 1st. Town administrators, mayors, council members, please. This is 100 years for us, so I need you strong.
Yes.
Make a float, wear something, do something.
What time?
Mr.
It
Barnes?
usually starts at 10.
What time is the
What
parade
time
again?
is it?
The parade is at 3, lineup will be at 2. The festival runs from 4 to 8:30, fireworks following that.
We'll make sure.
All right, we will show up strong.
Jotting it down now.
You'll all get a personal invitation, so it'll be coming out very shortly from Asha.
Excellent.
Oh, one final thing that the Port Towns is doing together as we're expanding it is our door-to-door food composting program. We got a grant to do that with USDA, Eco City Farms, and Compost Crew. We kicked off the first phase with Bladensburg and Edmonston, and we have 50 customers currently being picked up every week. Our next phase will add on Colmore Manor, and then our last phase, we will hope to add on Cottage City residents being eligible, and it will truly become a Port Towns project of collecting food waste, going to Eco City Farms urban farm at Watkins Park. And so it's an amazing program, and USDA just toured the farm, incubator farm, just recently, and our startup of our food compost, and was just very, very pleased. So again, another Port Towns activity that we're all working together on.
Excellent. Thank you, Team Edmonston, for all of those updates and announcements. So we'll come back in-house. I'll start with the council. Any updates? Councilmember Blunt said no. Councilmember McBride, any announcements or updates for the group? You thinking, no? Okay, I can start this one and kick it over to you. So I am really grateful. I had a desire to start a food pantry because we haven't had that partnership with Capital Area Food Bank for many years, since the height of the pandemic. So a friend of mine from an old church reached out and said, hey, I need to move 30,000 pounds of food. And I was like, hey, I know people. So Councilmember McBride is helping to reinvigorate our pastoral lay council. So we use this as an opportunity for a kickoff event with them, where the town supported them in securing the food from Charles County. That happened on March 13th, maybe Wednesday, March 13th, where we helped go get the food, bring it up here to Salvation Army. The way it's going to work is Word of God Community Church will do their regular distribution. They've got now more resources to help. And if you don't know, when you turn left out of our parking lot, make a left, you pass the firehouse, and on the next block, it's the little church on the left side. So it will help with their distribution, but one of the other things is that it will function almost like a store. So versus us just saying, hey, family, here's a box of what we decided you need, at the Salvation Army, they'll actually be able to walk in and shop for the items that they need for their family, which I'm really excited about. So Deep Launching is the name of the organization that my friend Masada Roberson founded for doing things like that and other initiatives. So again, Pastoral Aid Council is moving on that. We'll share the flyer once they're ready to kick into action and open to the community, because this is for us, not just Bladensburg, but for the port towns. So that's one thing. Prior to even going down that road, she came back and said, hey, Keisha, I've got like 200 coats and some socks I need to get rid of. So again, reached out to our members of the Pastoral Aid Council and Councilmember McBride, and there was a giveaway. That was February, I think it was. Time is flying. Yes, and to see the look on these kids' faces with their new coats, some of them, it was a warm day, and those kids would not take those coats off walking out the door because they were just so happy to have a nice new winter coat. So we have the prayer breakfast coming up. I'm sorry, not prayer breakfast, but your first meeting. You want to just mention that on Saturday?
The first. Okay, good evening, everyone. Our first Bladensburg Pastoral Lake Council breakfast is going to be Saturday, the 30th of March, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I'm going to host it at the, the Station 202 restaurant. I figure I'd give them something different instead of just bring them to, because Town Hall is going to have all the little people here with the extravaganza, so I figured I'd just take the pastors to a nice restaurant.
When is that?
That's Saturday. This Saturday?
At 10 to 12?
From 10 to 12.
Yeah. So let us know if you're interested in attending. Email Councilmember McBride, so we just make sure we have enough space for you. But again, the whole goal is to partner with the faith-based community for some of these initiatives. As you know, it's hard to get volunteers when you have 30,000 pounds of food you want to get rid of. So I think, and they have some wonderful people who want to do good work in the community. So we're open to ideas to present back to them at the meeting on Saturday. Ms. Bailey Hedgepeth talked about Boswick House, so don't need to go back through that. Any updates,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. The one update I have is we rescheduled the public safety meetings. Our public safety meeting will be held April 13th, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Bladensburg Town Hall. Thank
And
you.
the focus will be?
The focus will be on public safety.
No, because that gives you the impression that it's a different meeting. This is specifically regarding pedestrian safety, which is why we're so concerned about these speed cameras that you guys are having challenges with. But we did have a resident fatality, and
Yes.
then a couple months after that, another person was seriously injured also on Annapolis Road.
Yeah.
And so we just really need to have some conversations with the community about efforts to improve that
Yeah,
situation.
yes. So pedestrian crossing walkability. And of course, if residents, of course, if residents have other concerns, our chief of police, he will be in attendance as well.
Great. I didn't miss anybody else. Just really quick, so the United States will be turning 250 years old on July 4th, 2026. So I was appointed to the Maryland 250 Commission by Governor Moore. And so one of the things Michelle talked about is really trying to think in advance of how we can celebrate our stories, our collective stories in our communities as part of Maryland's history. So not focusing necessarily on the history that's been presented to us, but telling the stories of all people from our communities, so from Native Americans, from the enslaved people who were sold and had to live in the port towns, to the immigrant story. We want to make sure we hear the voices of everyone who represents the fabric of our communities. And so hopefully we can culminate with the fireworks on the 4th, but We did have a lunch and learn webinar through MML to just give ideas on what it means and how you can come up with ideas for your communities. And then I'll be bugging you guys as well over the summer to say, would you please start a task force in your community to get residents on board with some ideas so you don't have to do all the work all the time, engage your business owners or other nonprofits who, like Community Forklift, who may want to be a part of coming up with ideas to commemorate our nation's history. Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth, anything else?
No, it's getting close to 8 o'clock, and I think
Yeah.
I promised you
8 o'clock.
something there.
Okay. So with that, again, Saturday for the children in your communities, we have the extravaganza happening here in the park with all the fun activities from 10 to 12 for the little folks. Please encourage those families to come out and have a good time with us. So we have come to the end of the meeting. It's so hard to say goodbye, but we shall. Until we meet again, we shall adjourn. Thank you guys so much, and thanks to everyone online who joined. Good night.
Good night. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Tonight or tomorrow.
American